Today's episode is brought to you by DB. DB is a Scandinavian brand that makes backpacks and bags to help people on the move stay ready for anything. From the streets to the peaks, DB's gear is travel tested by some of the world's best athletes, adventurers, and creators. Over the past decade, DB has designed and developed, released and refined the best bags in the market. With DB's patented hookup system, you're able to attach smaller products to your backpack, roller, or tote. Now, we all know traveling today isn't like it was 20 years ago. You don't just walk up to the ticket check-in and hand them your bag and say, no one else was in possession of my bags. Now you have to go through a whole ordeal. Having the right bag makes things so much simpler. Knowing all your stuff is together and easy to control makes your commute that much easier. Whether you're on a plane or a bus, having the right bag can be the difference between having a huge headache and just having as enjoyable of a trip as you can. So, why not get the right bag? We're teaming up with DB to exclusively offer our listeners 10% off your next purchase by using the code POD10 or by going to the link in the show notes. DB, it's time to move on, time to get going. The podcast you are about to listen to contains at least one of the following: strong language, disturbing topics, abusive opinions, generally things that aren't appropriate for little kids or overly sensitive people. So, if any of that stuff's going to get your nose out of joint, this is your chance to turn it off. Welcome to I Had to Say It, the podcast where I talk about things that I feel need talking about, and sometimes they're not getting the attention they deserve. And your feelings, they're not under consideration. Hey everybody, welcome to another episode of I Had to Say It. Today I am joined by 2/3 of the Hush Hush Society, Slick Fronk Saunders and Mystery Mike. If you guys would like to introduce yourself, plug your show. If the people haven't heard of it, tell them where you're from and why you're here.
Sure. I am Mystery Mike from the Hush Hush Society Conspiracy Hour. I'm joined by Slick Fronk Sanders, who is also one of our co-hosts. We do a conspiracy theory show. We also dive into cryptids, paranormal, mysterious type oogly googly. And we release episodes every Monday or so. And you can find us anywhere that you can find podcasts. Pretty easy stuff. We're also on all social media. You can find us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. I always got to do all these plugs.
Dude, you got him down.
It's from saying them 100,000 times.
I know. I gotta. Yeah.
All right, so yeah, you got to learn them. That's why I just set it up so I could just be like, just go to IHadToSayItPodcast.com. Everything's there.
There you go.
It's just easier, and I'm lazy. But for the people that are listening, the reason I decided I wanted to have you guys on here is a few weeks back I said something and I realized it was kind of true, and I was talking and I said that when conspiracy theories start making more sense than the news, we need to reevaluate some things. And
very true.
And then I'm a big fan of your guys' show, and I listen to it on a regular. So I was like, these guys would be perfect to talk to about some conspiracy theories that now people are finding out. Like, hey, the tinfoil hat crowd was right. Go figure. And granted, some of them are still pretty bug shit, but there have been some things where now people are admitting, oh look, this was right, and the guys we were all calling the kooks, they might have known something.
It's a gratifying moment when the tables turn like that, not gonna lie. Especially on things that people were like, no, you're crazy. And then, hits the newscast and yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean that's kind of the history of America in general and the world in general when it comes to conspiracy theories. The general public hears something that their mind just can't, they can't wrap their mind around. And I think the first thing that people go to is, well, it's got to be bullshit. That's not true. There's no way that could be true. And then you find out that, a lot of these conspiracy theories, quote unquote, are real things that are happening. I mean, one of the biggest examples, MK Ultra. You know, a government program where our own government was drugging U.S. citizens and doing experiments with LSD and all these different things. So um, I think people just need to be more aware of of what their government is capable of.
Yeah, I completely agree. Actually, MK Ultra was one of the first things in my notes of things that were like, hey, look, yeah, they were right.
Hmm.
Um, and it's kind of funny you should mention that because to me that was one. It's the psychedelic aspect of it was one thing, but just also the crowd control through panic and all these other things that they learned how to weaponize fear basically,
Mm-hmm.
and and then now we've got people saying, well, look what's going on in the world today, and then pointing to like MK Ultra and going, yeah, you really think this might not be another case of practicing what they preached and
Hmm.
actually implementing something that they realized would work. And I think it'll be kind of interesting to see when the chips fall from this one, how if it comes out.
Well, if you look at a lot of pop culture, there's always been, especially recently with like the Free Britney movement, which is like the Britney Spears thing. A lot of people say that MK Ultra never ended, and it just continued to happen, and they just kind of went more underground than they already were, and kept the projects going and applied it to your everyday citizens and your pop culture idols, and kept them under thumb. And if you really look at it, a lot of the population feels this sort of connection to pop idols and connections to movie stars, and you know people that you've never met, you never will meet, and you see them on the screen and you automatically go, oh, that must be, they must be a great person. um
Yeah.
and they kind of hold on to their onto those people's words. So I think that the government may have, you know one of those abbreviation organizations. I think that they've had their fingers in the pool of celebrities, as far as control goes, for a while now.
That's one of those other things too. With a lot of people feel connected to celebrities, and uh, culturally, that's become a much bigger thing in the last couple of generations. I think.
Mm,
I mean, there was always that degree of celebrity worship, like when the Beatles came over, and you see all the kids screaming and
yeah.
freaking out to see the band, but we didn't have the same kind of connection like when I was a kid, where it was like, oh my god, I identify with them personally. It's like,
Well, yeah,
Yeah.
it's much more accessible now with like mass social media. You can get pretty intimate with these celebrities' lives to an extent. You could see, when their kids are born, when they're having a birthday. You can watch their live streams, get a peek into their life on the daily, and it just makes it that much easier to obsess and connect, I guess, with these individuals.
now something else I kind of want to get your guys' take on is for a long time people were saying things were like weather modification could be, and they're saying what, because the weather's been weird these last couple of years,
Oh
Mm,
yeah.
and so a lot of people are now saying, well, that's weather modification technology, and they're using that against us, and some of the governments have admitted that, like, well, we can do this beyond like basic cloud seeding and stuff. They're like, oh no, we can use these sonic projectors to cause weather fronts to change and things like that, so we need to fix things. And
mhm.
so they've kind of admitted, like, yeah, they do have weather modification technology, and
Yeah.
it
They
is a real thing.
Yeah, very much so. And they always kind of pass it off, especially when they disclose these things, and these technologies. They kind of pass it off as like, oh well, you said that we could you know, target people with lightning strikes. No, we can't do that. We can just start tornadoes, and we can start hurricanes, and make it rain over in a desert. That's not the same as using weather as a weapon. It's like, well, all right.
You can
Um,
only just decimate entire populations with natural disasters at your free will, but no, that's not weaponizing the weather.
yeah, yeah, exactly.
Oh, no,
We
no.
actually spoke that about this on our show. We did a HARP episode, and that's kind of like a government facility um, that that we think does weather modification. But there's a lot of these different facilities around the world that are kind of working on, like you said, cloud seeding, and kind of doing these geoengineering type things. And we were talking about, like you said, how the weather has been crazy lately, and you could attribute it to, we live on a planet. Planets change. The weather goes wild. It's I think we've lived in this bubble long enough where you kind of look at Earth and you go, well, it's different than all these other planets. It doesn't change. It's so stable. And well, it's not as stable as you might think. And volcanoes happen, and earthquakes happen, and massive storms happen. And yeah, we've been kind of fortunate without them for a while. But you could say that the Earth, it's due. But on the other hand, you could also say that the government is using these things. If you look at a lot of the places that were hit, Haiti, um, you know, not to dive too deep into it, but Haiti was hit with, a massive earthquake, and kind of destroyed their entire infrastructure. And who came in to help Haiti and start a Haitian fund? The Clinton Foundation. And by the way, they're still wondering where all that money went, because the Clinton Foundation came in and built something like 12 houses off of millions of dollars donated.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Well, suicides aren't cheap, so
yeah, 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 it's a lot of rope.
yeah.
But yeah, that weather modification stuff, I wouldn't even say it's a conspiracy at this point. I actually just went like searching for this article because I remember seeing something about some sort of public weather modification that happened. I thought it was in Japan, but it was actually in Dubai. They used a bunch of drones to seed clouds to make it rain because they were combating some sort of crazy heat wave and drought, and it hadn't rained in a while. And you can find it on all the news sources. Like, it's public knowledge that cloud seeding is a thing, weather modification is a thing.
Mhm.
Oh, yeah, definitely, and that's just the stuff they admit to.
Yep. Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
Yep.
That's the tip of the iceberg right there in the terms of weather modification.
You guys do a lot of research and well put together stuff. I do a lot of bullet points and see my pants. So, my other note here is, how did you guys? I mean, I listen to the episodes, so I kind of know. But for people who may not be familiar, when they did their release on the UFO phenomena, that what you guys think of that? Because I have my thoughts, and and I will state them. But uh,
Mm.
guests first, I suppose.
That was a slap in the face. That's what that was. That was demeaning and pretty much yeah, a metaphorical slap in the face for sure. It was not nearly what anybody thought it was. I mean, we had discussed it for months and months in advance, and as it approached, we sort of started to realize that, hold on, this probably isn't going to be everything that it should be. They're going to hold back. Obviously, their hand is being forced into talking about it a little bit, but I don't think the public got the same thing that Congress got. I think there was two versions of that initial briefing, and we didn't see any of it. As it turns out, we actually just found out the other day. I guess, what was it? The Air Force or the Navy is being forced into doing a briefing every 90 days on new phenomena. Yeah, it wasn't what it should have been. It was a big letdown. I mean, a huge stride in the right direction, of course, but still a letdown nonetheless.
Yeah, I would have to agree. It was kind of a letdown, but at the same time, I think it's kind of a long game. As Frank mentioned, they have been told that they have to give briefings every 90 days now on the UAP phenomenon. There's a lot of convincing evidence. I think there's more evidence that has been leaked by other people than was formally given by the Pentagon. And you look at the Tic Tac videos, the other UAP videos. Um, you look at former prime ministers saying that we belong to some sort of galactic federation.
Mhm.
You have years ago now, I think the former Canadian prime minister just straight up came out and said, like, yeah, we are in contact with UFOs. We have an entire division devoted to investigating them and looking into them. So, like I said, I think there's more disclosure from people that are not on the official books, than there are from the people that were tasked with giving us that information. I think that the report was just the tip of the iceberg. I think they'll kind of be forced within the coming months and years into releasing a lot more information, and they're going to have to give us, the whole thing.
And worst case scenario, it's some sort of giant long game orchestrated Project Bluebeam sort of scenario, and
Hmm,
that would be kind of bad, I think.
that it would.
That would be kind of a bummer.
Right?
Yeah, I'm sorry. I have a black belt in understatement. Um, yeah, I agree as well. I mean, the actual disclosure of, well, there are things out there that we can't tell you what they are because we don't know what they are either. Thank you. And it's like,
Yeah. Yeah.
and on the one hand, it's like, okay, that was a whole lot of buildup. Like, they're gonna release it. They're gonna release it. They're gonna release it. Aww.
Yeah.
But on the other hand, personally, I really wasn't all that surprised because I was looking at it, and maybe it's because I am on the little older end of the like active internet spectrum, I guess, where I'm still young enough where Facebook is not how I get my news, but I remember other things that they're going to release this report or that report, and the press release would be 23 pages of redacted statements where you got like one sentence out of every 3 pages.
Mhm.
So I'm like, what were you guys expecting?
Yeah. I think a lot of people got it into their head that disclosure was going to be the whole enchilada, that they were going to receive, oh, here's a case file with 400 pictures of a UFO, and here's the blueprints, and here's the names and pictures and autopsies of every alien body we've ever found. It's not ever gonna be that. It's not
No.
ever gonna be that. Especially you gotta look at the history. So if throughout the 40s and 50s and 60s the government was holding back certain information, and that ended up hurting citizens, or that ended up hurting our country or our world, or um, setting us down some sort of catastrophic path that we attributed to something else. If the government came out and said, oh yeah, that was aliens, or yeah, that was us trying to cover up aliens, then it would be a whole snafu. So I think there's a lot of stuff that they kind of pulled the magician's trick. Look at my left hand while I'm doing something with my right, type of thing. Um, I think they just gave you the small stuff, the insignificant stuff, the stuff that you kind of already knew, and then said, "Well, we're at a loss too. We don't know what to do," and then expected that we were just going to turn around and say, "Oh, you don't know? Okay, well, we'll just let it go." No.
Sounds good.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
We'll take your word for it. Cool.
Oh yeah, no, we trust you.
Yep.
But and I suppose once upon a time that might have worked too. The fact that they still have that mentality might have something to do with the fact that by and wide, a lot of the decision makers in this country have been past the age of retirement for 2 decades at this point.
Hmm.
That's a whole separate rant. I I could go on for days. I have gone on for days about how if politicians were actually young enough to give a shit about their policies' impacts, we might all know a little bit more about what was going on in the world.
Hopefully.
Yep. Yep.
You'd think.
Term limits.
Oh, well, now we're canceled. Great. Not that we're going to be canceled by society. Somebody's going to show up in a black van at my house now. You guys said you said the TL word. Get in.
Stay where
Like,
you are.
I'm going to get that little window popping up on my screen from my FBI agent.
Yup.
Don't fucking move. Here we go again. I've joked about it since I was a teenager. I'm on a watch list somewhere. There's
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
there's
Yep.
not a doubt in my mind.
Yep. Yep. Yeah.
I managed to do it before the internet was a big thing. I back in 1996. I'm dating myself here. I cut class to go vote in my first election, the first presidential election I was old enough to vote in because I was 18 my senior year, and I ditched class to go vote. And there was somebody from the newspaper down there like, "Wow, you're a kid. What are you doing here?" And I'm like, "I'm here to vote. I'm doing my civic duty." And they were like, "Who'd you vote for?" And I'm like, "I didn't vote for any of these assholes. I voted for Bill Murray." And it was funny because I didn't really think they were gonna like do anything serious with it. So I'm sitting there going, "Oh yeah, no, every single one of them's corrupt. They all need to be dragged out, and we should bring back tarring and feathering." And I'm not like a teenager anarchist that just thinks anarchy is something cool. I really think all of these assholes need to be held accountable for what they did. And I just went off on this like really heavily fueled 18-year-old rant, and it wound up in the paper.
Oh
wow.
boy.
Yeah, there you go.
Not the whole thing, of course. They did, clean it up so it was publishable. But
That's watch list worthy for sure.
oh yeah, but
Yeah.
my name and the fact that I thought every politician that was in office needed to be dragged out into the streets was published. And I was like, my friend saw it a couple days later. He's like, "Dude, you're getting black bags so fast, it's not even funny." I was like,
Yep.
"Yeah, but that gives me a great excuse to ditch class one of these days. Just cut class and then come back later like I'm not allowed to talk about it."
That's true.
The teachers didn't think it was nearly as funny because I'll be honest, at one point I did do that. Like, well, what had happened was I got out of my car in the parking lot this morning and this windowless van pulled up alongside me, and I thought they were going to offer me some free candy, but they were just like, "Get in, put this over your head." And
Hey, little boy.
yeah. Hey, you like candy? No. Okay, I'll get in the van. There better be puppies in there this time.
Free puppies.
Yeah, I had an interesting youth. What can I say?
That kind of brings me to a thought. You mentioned like 1996. So like uh, I always had this thought that there were certain like monumental websites, especially at the like the infancy of the internet, and even continued to today, where there's these websites that are kind of well known. So like if you're an OG of the internet, like steakandcheese.com, or eh, there was another one that just recently went down, rotten.com. So like websites like that are kind of like a shock value. I always thought that the government kind of put them out to do like profiling of people.
Oh yeah, no,
Where
I'm
they,
sure there's logs of every user on those things.
Oh, there has to be. I mean, to those of you that don't know, those websites were kind of like there would be hyper violence on there. There would be like crazy videos of like executions and shit like
So
that.
like stuff that you can only find on like the dark web now.
Yeah,
Yeah,
but it was on these sites publicly.
Right.
um
I
and
saw stuff about rotten.com floating around and I was like, what is this?
yeah, I think
What even?
I think he recently just got retired
Okay.
after, 25 years or something. But yeah, I feel like like they just watched these websites and just was like, okay, this user is this demographic, this age, this, and then just, yeah, we're gonna watch this person, we're gonna watch that person, we're gonna, like I'm sorry, but you were on this website watching this execution that lasted 12 minutes, and you watch the entire
What?
thing, and and now you're on a list.
yep.
Wow.
Yeah, there was some really messed up stuff on there. There were a couple other ones too, and unfortunately, I'm blanking on them. But funny side note, a guy I went to high school with was actually a site mod on Rotten.
Oh jeez, there you go.
Yeah,
Yeah,
he should be on a fucking watch list.
he
I mean,
probably is.
oh, I guarantee it. But I'm just saying, from a personal perspective, as somebody that knew the guy, I'm like, you belong under survey. I mean, I'm not a Big Brother supporter in any way, shape, or form, but somebody needs to be monitoring you specifically.
That
I
says
think
something.
I think we all have that friend.
Yeah.
I mean, he was a good guy to me, but I could always see how he could be a little off-putting for like random other people. Like, I'd look at him and just be like, dude, you are ever gonna be my wingman if we're going to the bars or something, because you are gonna scare the fuck out of everybody.
Get a couple drinks in them and that's it.
Oh
That's
no,
it.
yeah. You get a couple drinks in him, and he's like, "Hey, you ever see somebody get their head cut off with a fucking hatchet?" I'm like,
Oh jeez.
bro,
That's not a clean cut.
no,
That's
that's a good 8 minutes. That's why do you know that?
Yeah,
Timestamps. Jesus
yeah.
Christ.
Timestamps.
What was I saying? Oh yeah. So that guy belonged on a watch list. He was bug shit crazy. Back in the old days when the internet was text, and I was
Yeah,
one of those
very
guys.
images.
But it's kind of funny because a lot of the more stereotypical stuff people are talking about for like with the neck bearded incel types and things like that. Not that I'm trying to stereotype anybody, but a lot of the guys I used to know that were really into that stuff were so that archetypical, like, dude, really, you can't live on friggin' Jolt and Doritos. Not to say I didn't like Jolt too, because that was like the only soda I drank, but
Joel.
but I also
Joel.
like went outside and I was on the football team, and I I tried to maintain a certain degree of health because I was really convinced that being smart in a basement with a computer was all well and good, but if shit did go sideways, like a lot of these guys were talking about, having a katana on the wall but not being able to breathe after 10 seconds of exertion was not a good combination.
good point.
So, I mean, I used to, like I said, be on all these different forums and chat groups with these guys, and they'd be, oh, well, this is going to happen, and this is going to be the end of the world, and, Y2K is going to happen,
Yep.
and everything is going to fall apart. And I'm like, okay, you guys are talking all this crazy stuff about Y2K, but when's the last time you walked a mile? Just saying. I mean,
Yeah.
if the power's
Yeah.
out and you got to go hunting for food, do you know where Doritos naturally gather? I mean,
Um, you bring up something that's pretty interesting, actually. Um, and it's gonna sound weird, but um, pay attention to like law enforcement and FBI agents and stuff like that, government agencies or whatever that start up prepper companies. There's a lot of them. There's a lot more than you would imagine, and they're spearheaded. They are literally like CEO'd by FBI agents or former agents.
yeah, there's a lot of them out there. Um, there's so many ways to interpret it too. they think it's a good earning market because people want to be prepared. They can compile
Hmm.
lists of these people, so they have lists of people that are preparing. They know where stockpiles
There
are.
you
They
go.
know
Yeah.
where bunkers are. They know where resource facilities are. So you could take
Yep.
it the sinister route, or you could take it the other sinister route, I guess, is the way you look at it.
The
There's the
capitalistic route.
capitalistic route of, are they just doing it to be, making a buck on people's fears? Is it they know something and they're trying to get people prepared for a small nominal fee? Or is it an intelligence gathering thing? Now, I do actually have a little bit of a take on that too, because I have, again, going back to when I was a kid, and a few of my friends' parents were various law enforcement agents, lawyers, judges, things like that. And those were some of the most well prepared guys I knew when it came to terms of if things went sideways. They had and were proficient with plenty of firearms. They had stores of C rations or whatever, depending on who you're talking to, MREs, fallback plans. And I'm like, should I be concerned that a guy who is actively involved in the governing of my hometown has 6 months worth of food stored in his shed behind his house? And again, like I said, I'm on the older side of the internet, so I was there for the whole Y2K thing. And I mean, granted, my approach to it was probably not the most mature or rational approach, because I was comfortable enough with computers, and like I built my own PC and all that other stuff so I was comfortable enough to go, yeah, the world's not going to crash because everything resets to zero tonight at midnight. But from a social aspect, like I went out New Year's Eve 1999. I did have a ski mask rolled up in the back pocket of my jeans just in case, because I had a shopping list in case people did start acting stupid at midnight. And
You got to be prepared.
I was actually in Madison, Wisconsin for New Year's Eve, and it's a big party town on a normal day, and you're looking at the end of the millennium, and people were really doing it up. And so I was up there. I had like a cocktail in each hand and a "Let's Go Looting" hat hanging out of my pocket. So I'm here to party, but if things go sideways, I could really use a new guitar. I mean,
There you go.
Hell
Priorities.
yeah.
And frankly, I've seen too many different the Rodney King riots in L.A. in the early '90s, and was that '94? Sorry, I'm bad with
Mm.
dates. I should write things down, but I never know where I'm going to go with these conversations either. So, but like I saw those riots, and one of the things I was thinking is, okay, you're out there and you're busting into these stores. You're on camera. You're not doing anything to obscure who you are. You're in that neighborhood, because a lot of these, riots and looting and stuff, they don't happen. You don't go to another town to go bust into a Walmart and get a TV. I mean, that's a pain in the ass. You got to
Hmm.
get it home. So I was like, I can't believe they're just the extra little 30 seconds of foresight to bring a ski mask. If you know that you're in you're in a mob action, there's going to be news reporters there. There's a good chance you're going to wind up on camera. How hard is it just to bring something and cover up? You know.
That is not a terrible point.
And then last summer, with all the stuff that was going on, I was amazed how many people were out there, and a lot of people were complaining, well, they're out there with COVID and they don't have any masks on. That's not fair. And to my brain, I'm going, this son of a bitch just stole a pallet of 75-inch TVs and didn't have a mask on. The one time where he
Yeah.
could have gotten away with wearing a mask and saying he was doing it for a reason before he went and stole the TVs.
There you
I'm
go.
like, Jesus. The aggregate IQ in this country is just bottoming out.
Oh, absolutely. There's something in the water.
That's very possible.
There you go.
I have
There
thought it
you
more
go.
than once. It used to be people were blaming the fluoride. I'm not really sure that's it. Well, part of my very firm stance on this matter is we need to just take the warning labels off of everything. I think that
Hmm.
would help.
Yeah.
Do you
Yep.
really need to be told that your shoes didn't come with bonus candy in them? Hey, I got a stereo receiver. They gave me these little crystal beads. They're delicious. Yeah.
Those are actually the gateway out of the Matrix. That's the only way that you can escape, to eat the magic little silica packets.
It's the only way out of this
That's the only way, I'm telling you. It's the forbidden jerky.
Ladies and gentlemen, we here at I Had to Say do not endorse eating silica packets, but if you really think that's a good idea and you want to go for it, who am I to stop you?
Oh my god.
We believe in freedom of
Exactly.
choice.
I am a firm believer in freedom of choice and consequences. Those are the two things those are the
Yes.
hills I will die on. You can do whatever dumb shit you want to. Just don't expect society to save you.
I mean, you paid a lot of money for that bag of jerky. You might as well eat all of it.
Yeah, there's a whole nother conversation we could have.
What, how the beef jerky market is a scam?
Oh no, the beef jerky market is a horrible, horrible, horrible organization because it's right up there with crack. I mean, you think you're eating like I just bought this $12 8-ounce package of beef jerky, and I'm gonna have a few pieces now, and I'll have some later, and it'll be and then
Nope.
you're going, fuck, it's a silica gel, and yeah, and you know, I'm not saying jerky's bad. I love me some beef jerky. As a matter of fact, I think I may make some this week. I don't know, because that dials back to I am such a cheap bastard. I could spend $12 for a pre-made bag of jerky, or I can spend $30 and buy a beef flat and make. After dehydration, I get about 5 pounds
That's way
for
more
like
worth it.
$30. It's so much more worth it.
Absolutely.
It's just
That's probably better because you made it yourself.
Yeah.
well, yeah. The only problem with making it myself is I don't get it very much of it, because between my wife and my kid, it's like, hey, look, there's 2-gallon bags of beef jerky sitting in the fridge, and then I get home and there's like some crumbs, and do we got any more of this? Like that was an entire, unprocessed chunk of beef. That was a $36 piece of meat you guys just ate in a day. I could have made roast beef out of that and it would have lasted a month. Jesus. Yeah, it's one of the fun things about being me. I do things like that, and the cheapskate in me goes, hey, all right, we dodged a bullet on this one. We saved a lot of money. And then the more practical part of me goes, dude, you did all that work and you didn't get any of it. You suck.
You suck.
Like, yeah, but look how happy those smiling little faces are, and their blood pressure went up and yours didn't, because there's a lot of sodium in that.
There you go.
Well, you gotta. I'm good at silver lining things. Like, yeah, you worked really hard on that beef jerky and everybody else ate it, but on the upside, you got low blood pressure. And the world's coming to an end anyway. Let's learn how to can and make jams and stuff.
Real shit.
There you go.
And she's like, don't you already know how to do all of that? And I'm like, well, yeah, I do, but you don't. What are you going to do when I have a heart attack at 50 and I'm collapsed out somewhere, fighting off the zombies or whatever, when we get the Zeta variant?
The Zeta.
Well,
after the 23rd lockdown.
Yeah, 15 weeks to flatten the curve, right?
Yeah, 496 weeks.
Yeah.
It's just going to keep going. The curve is just going to keep curving.
Yeah.
There is no curve. It's a straight line.
I was going to say, this is where the flat earthers need to be focusing, because they're saying, well, there's no curve on the horizon. There's no curve on the frickin' lockdowns. That's where you're worried about the wrong fucking curve, my friend.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, realistically, even if the world is flat, and I'm not saying that I think it is, because I don't. My biggest hole in that whole theory is, so you've acknowledged that every other planet in the solar system is a sphere. This is the one that's balanced on the back of a turtle?
Oh, no, Aaron. Space doesn't exist to them. Flat earthers do not believe in space.
Well, I agree. I misspoke.
I will
But
get so offensive if I go down my flat Earth rant. It's
oh,
not even
I
funny.
Oh
love it.
yeah, yeah.
It's not even funny.
We did
This is a
we
safe
did our
space. You can
flat Earth
offend anyone you
episode.
want.
We did our flat Earth episode, and we did with our episodes. We do a lot of like background research. So there's like, if it's a very scientific episode, we really dive into the science and kind of break it down. And with flat Earth, we went to town on it because all three of us kind of unanimously agreed that flat Earth is bullshit. Um, so, we looked at every argument that a flat earther gives for the existence of a flat Earth, and then found the irrefutable science um, that destroys those
We were
arguments.
just decimating
And
flat Earth theory, essentially.
pretty much. And then we released the episode, and still to this day, we still get shit from people. Can't believe that you guys don't believe in a flat Earth. Can't believe in this. Can't believe you. One of our most recent ones was like, I can't believe you brought on this certain guest that we had on. We had David Icke on, and
That was a great
they were
episode,
like,
by the way. I enjoyed it.
"Thank you." Yeah, and they kind of berated us for having him on, and why didn't you grill him? And you know, there's two things about our shows. So first off, when it comes to like our scientific, like our debriefings and stuff like that, and our breakdowns, and getting into our conspiracies and our cryptids, and we have made it abundantly clear from the start of the show that just because we cover these topics does not necessarily mean that we believe in them. We don't believe in every conspiracy and every cryptid out there. We tell you in every episode whether we do or not believe in what we've been talking about. So people still will get pissy with us. Well, you're a conspiracy show. You're supposed to believe in all these things. Well, no, I'm a logical human being, and not to say that there aren't conspiracies that we all believe in, because there are a fuck ton of them. But and then when it comes to guests, we have our guests on to provide a platform for our guests to speak and get their ideas out there. And it's not up to us to gatekeep people's thoughts. It's not up to us to grill a guest that we're having on. We're not going to sit there and go, "Oh, well, you should think this way, and how dare you bring up this thought?" And
There's
it's not
plenty of
about
other
that.
people that already do that exact thing. Like, we
Exactly.
don't need to be another drop in the bucket in that sense.
Yeah, it's just it's we do our interviews and allow those ideas to get out there. And if you believe in them, good. That's all good for you. We're not going to stop you from believing or not believing. If you don't believe in something and you feel like you have to say something to us and let us know how pissed off you are, just don't. Don't even bother. Like open up the email, look at it, think to yourself, and go, "Oh, that's right. I'm a human being, and I can have my own opinions, and somebody else can have their own opinions, and we don't necessarily have to agree." And then hit the fucking X and go about your day.
That's one of the things I like about listening to you guys is I'm like, you're not pushing your agenda. It's just here's the case, here's the facts, here's what we think about it, and make up your own mind.
Yeah,
That's
there's been
Yep.
several topics that like we didn't even really want to cover, but we covered anyway because it's like, you know, for example, flat Earth, we pushed it off and pushed it off. We didn't want to do it because we knew what it was going to be. We knew that we were just going to go into it and destroy it and piss people off. But at the same time, in the conspiratorial, world, that's like that's a pretty big foundation type topic, So to a degree, we felt it was necessary to cover in that sense because it's this big kind of shit stain on the whole entire community. I don't know. I don't know. Of course, it's gonna piss people off that we're not about it because there's so many people that like live it like it's law. I
Well,
don't
yeah,
know.
and just because you follow some theories and subscribe to some beliefs doesn't mean you have to believe everything. I mean,
Yeah.
there's a
Yeah.
difference
Exactly.
between being critically minded and being a fucking sucker.
Yeah.
And
This is very true.
well, I got approached by the flat Earth guys too, and I was like, "Have you listened to any of my episodes? Do you really think I'm a platform for you? Me and my 35
Yeah.
people that listen to the show on a regular basis. You really think you're gonna sell something here? And like, I'm not trying to be mean because I know how your followers are, and they're gonna come for me. But
It's true. The finish line for flat earthers is, um if we were a spherical planet, then that would say that we were not a planned design and that we're not special. And it's always funny to me because those people that all of a sudden, they bring God and religion into it. Well, it's a planned design. God designed the planet to be flat, and we live on a flat plane, and whatever else they want to say. um it's so massively egotistical for you to sit there and say, "Oh yeah, our God would only make us on a flat plane."
Why
Like,
is that?
as if he couldn't make all the stars, the planets, the fucking galaxy, the universe, and our planet, and make our planet spherical. So think of how limiting that is to a deity in general.
yeah,
Like
all powerful,
you're
but you
essentially
can't do
saying,
gravity.
Yeah. You're bashing
Exactly.
your
Yeah,
god.
yeah, yeah. Well, my God would never make a sphere. How simple of a plan is that? Are you fucking kidding me? You're saying that your God works on a 2D plane. Like,
Animation
it's
doesn't
like
even do that anymore.
it's like shit talking to the highest degree. Like, without acknowledging that you're shit talking. But that's essentially what you're doing.
The icing on the cake for me on the whole entire flat Earth topic. I had watched a documentary on flat Earth and flat earthers. Actually, like probably a year or two before we even recorded that episode. It was before we started the podcast. It was like way back. I was just like, I'm into this sort of conspiracy stuff. I'm gonna watch this, see where it goes. Not that I believed in flat Earth at the time, nor have I ever, but I was interested to learn more about it. So I watched the documentary, and it followed different researchers in the field of flat earthology or whatever they call it, um, and people in the flat earth community. And they had multiple people throughout this documentary doing these experiments to try to prove flat earth with laser beams to track the curvature of the earth and shit like that. And they probably did like 4 5 6 different experiments throughout the course of this documentary, and the results of each experiment pointed against flat earth, but they kept on going with it. And I was, yeah, that did it for me. I was like, all right, you guys are getting these results that go against your theory, but you're still going full stride with it. It's
Yeah.
respectable
Yeah.
to an extent, but on the other hand, it's like bothersome. I don't know.
Yeah.
It's cognitive dissonance.
It's a okay. Here I go again. I'm about to get offensive. I'm sorry. I'll stop.
Yeah, no, like I said, you don't have to worry about it because I have a nice disclaimer at the start of every episode that says, if you listen to enough of these, I am going to piss you off. So,
I mean, that's pretty much our
Yeah.
show, except in the conspiracy
At
realm.
one point or another, you're gonna get upset. Odds are.
yeah, I just stand by my statement of, well, your issues aren't my problem because
Yeah,
I learned to cope at some point. I'm sorry you didn't. You know.
yep.
We got some people pretty
That's always
mad
been
with
my.
Diana.
Oh, that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was actually listening to that one going, I remember that. That was
Stepping on some toes, maybe.
We have a really dark senses of humor.
no.
If we If we included in every episode some of the things that we've said and thought on our show, nobody would listen.
No.
Oh yeah.
As a matter of fact, there was portions in that Diana episode that didn't even make it in. So to say that what's in it is dark is like an understatement compared to the unedited cut, honestly.
Nice. It's Patreon content.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
But yeah, I remember listening to that, and I took so much shit right after that happened, probably for similar reasons, because I got a pretty dark sense of humor myself. And on top of that, I was like, didn't we have a little conversation with Britain a couple hundred years ago about why we don't give a shit what happens to these people? And I was like, I could have been a fucking leper because when right after it happened, oh no, poor Diana, she got killed because of the paparazzi. I'm like, well, the paparazzi are a bunch of parasites. Yes, I mean,
Yeah.
but on the other side of that coin, who gives a fuck? I mean, realistically, I'm an asshole, but that's okay. Everybody knows it at this point. Everybody was, oh, she was so beautiful. She was so classy. She was such a peach. She was such a saint. She was such a good person. Yeah, she used her platform to do a lot of good stuff, but let's be honest, she was maybe like an 8, and I'm from royal lineage and probably a little inbred. She was pretty, but she was not like some stunning woman who just lit up every fucking room she walked into. And it's real easy to do a lot of charitable things for other people when you don't have to do shit to support yourself. So, and
when you have nothing else going on.
that particular stance, when I was like, yeah, it's real easy to go out and feed and clothe little children in Africa when taxes give you the money to do it, and you don't have to worry about keeping your lights on. And apparently I'm an asshole for feeling that way. And I kind of had the same reaction when that whole Meghan, Harry, Oprah bullshit was going on. And everybody, oh my God, they're so brave. He walked away from his royal lineage. He's never going to be king. Who gives a fuck about the king? This is America. I don't give a shit about Oprah either. I mean, as long as I'm putting out my controversial opinions. And it's not like they walked away poor. They didn't have to file for public aid or anything. He's still got millions of dollars of his own assets. Mm-hmm. She still has whatever she had left over from before she decided to marry a royal guy. I don't know. I didn't really have any idea who she was before everybody started going, oh my God, they're so brave. And I was just like, why? Oh my God, you sat down and talked to Oprah. Okay.
Those millionaires are moving to another country. How brave.
How brave. They bought a house that's big enough for 3 normal families, for them and their baby. Oh my God. If he doesn't be careful with his money, he might have to think about getting a job when he's 60.
God forbid.
For fuck's sakes, who cares? But, and again, things like that are probably why I don't have much of an audience. Like, God, this guy's a prick. yeah, that's kind of my whole shtick. Sorry. It's those are the things that venting like that keeps me from having ulcers, because it's like, yeah, I see stupid shit, and a lot of people just see stupid shit and shrug, and I see stupid shit and I take it personally, because I mean, we could be so much better than we are. But and this is like an ongoing rant as far as I think, if anybody that listens to me is probably sick of hearing me say this, but it's like, if we weren't so busy focusing on such dumb shit, we would be so much better off. And that kind of ties back into the whole conspiracy theory market of, we're being aimed at this dumb shit. We're being told this stuff is important and we should care about these things, and it kind of keeps us from caring about the shit we should care about.
What, you mean like the crate challenge while Afghanistan is literally getting bombed in the airport? Stuff like that?
No, there's no correlation there at all.
No.
Although, actually, I did really put my foot in it yesterday. Yeah, I think it was yesterday, over because of the crate challenge thing. So I was like, open mouth, insert foot. I'm a douche. I'm sorry. I was putzing around on Twitter, and somebody had posted a link to and the headline reads, 3 people die doing milk crate challenge in Louisiana.
Yeah.
I didn't read the article. I just went off on this tear about fucking time. It's natural selection. I've seen so many of these idiots fall. I'm surprised nobody's paralyzed yet. I'm sorry they're dead, but on the other hand, maybe they had it fucking coming. And
Well,
then
that's Darwinism at its finest.
well, yeah, that's what I was thinking. And then I get like a DM from the guy who posted the original tweet, and he's like, "Bro, you look like an ass. Go read the article." Yeah, these 3 guys got shot by like somebody else while they were doing the challenge.
Oh wow.
They did not.
Yeah, I
They
saw
did
that.
not die from the milk crate challenge. They died because somebody ventilated them while they were doing it. So I'm
Well,
sitting
I
there.
mean,
I'm sitting there like, well, I just did like a 4-post rant about what dipshits these guys were, and they had it coming. Oops. Like, sorry, my bad. Didn't read the article. I'm an asshole. I retract my tweets. I'm sorry. And yeah, so that was had that little foot and mouth moment, and I'm like, yeah, I was about due. So yeah, I felt bad about that, but it's a real valid point. Like, hey, let's do something dumb. No, don't pay attention to the bombing and the dead Marines. Just stack up these milk crates.
Yep.
Well, where do we get milk crates? Well, that's good. You should apply yourself to that. Figure out where to go get some milk crates. Motherfucker. And anybody that's worked in the service industry looked at that and knew how bad of an idea that was, because we've all been on a loading dock at some point, sitting on 2 milk crates having a cigarette, and well, I don't know. I might be old kids having a vape. I guess I don't know. Whatever it is the young people are doing these days. If you stack them more than 2 high, the son of a bitch and things don't stay. So,
See, that's using
oh
your
yeah.
noggin.
Well, that was my first thought when I saw the milk crate challenge. I'm like, I could just get a bunch of zip ties and cheat and upload the video and blow everybody's fucking minds. Like, look at this fat bastard. He pulled it off. And then I realized nobody would want to watch that because his fatty didn't fall down and go boom. Nobody watches it to see if you're going to succeed. Everybody watches it to see you land on your fucking neck.
Yeah. It goes back to that whole thing of like people loving to watch like crazy fucked up videos.
Oh yeah.
For some odd reason, like as humans, and I don't know if it's like something that we've been conditioned to feel like through our movies or TV, our media in general, but like we love to see others A, not only fail, but B, also get hurt in the process.
Yeah. That's
we are definitely, like, humans in general love to see people fail, and I never could understand that. It's such like a crazy thing.
well, seeing somebody else fail is a lot easier than succeeding yourself,
This is very true.
But also, I mean, I think part of it's maybe part of our just innate curiosity too. Because if you look at like rubbernecker syndrome, if you're driving down the road and you see a car crash, everybody slows down to look. I mean, the logical part says you slow down so like emergency response people can do their job and all this other stuff. But the prime example, I was going to work yesterday and I'm driving down the highway. There's a big concrete median between the side I'm going north, the southbound side of traffic. There was a huge accident, literally closed 3 lanes of traffic. And the northbound side of traffic, we were going like 5 miles an hour because everybody had to slow down and try and look over the median to see what was going on.
Wow.
Except for me, because I was actually already late for work and I was on a conference call for a meeting I was supposed to be in. I'm sitting there going, yeah, I don't know what's going on. I had to call in. Sorry, guys. I'm on the highway. I'm going 3 miles an hour. At this rate, I'll be there around 10 o'clock tonight. So, and then we got past the accident and everybody went back to driving like assholes. So it was all good. Yeah, it's like you said, people like to see people fail. They like to see them hurt. I think that's why NASCAR is so popular, because drive fast, turn left. People don't go to watch cars go in a circle. They go waiting for something to crash.
Yeah, exactly.
Or if you're one of the people on the inside circle of the track, you're there to like get drunk and look at boobies. I noticed that. I went to Indy one year, and the guys I went with rented a Winnebago and got one of the camp spots on the inside track. And man, that was a party. There were just like kegs of beer all over the place and good old boys getting hammered and, you know, chicks in rebel flag bikinis taking their tops off. And I was like, I'm like, you know, I don't know who's winning the race, but this is a good time. I may have to rescind my drive fast, turn left mockeries. But obviously, since I still call it drive fast, turn left, I didn't, you know, change my stance too much. Thanks again for agreeing to do this. It was, you know, I really enjoyed talking to you guys. It was fun. You know, thanks for taking the time out of your day to.
Absolutely, man. It was fun.
Thank you.
We appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you for having us on here, and we really appreciate
definitely.
it.
And like I said, you guys always it's a, you know, an open door invitation. You guys ever want to just shoot the bull about something or whatever, you get something where you go, I'd like to really hear what an angry middle-aged white guy thinks about this. You know, just you know, drop me a line. We'll set something up. Like I will postulate and rant and rave to your heart's content.
Absolutely.
There you go.
Or like I said, also, if you want to rant and rave, I'll be more than happy to give you a platform to do it because, like I said, I can take all the flack I need to. It's not. I'm actually just sadistic enough to enjoy it where they're going to be like, oh, we're coming for you. And I'm going to be like, you guys want to, we already covered the socials and the plugs and anything else you want to say? Anything coming up you want to mention or?
Yeah, we just had our 1 year anniversary of our show. Had a live show. We have a live show at the end of all of our seasons. But we had a live show. We that the audio for that should be coming out this Monday.
Cool. Yeah, I missed that. I was caught up.
Yeah, no, it's we get a lot more listens after the fact, but that's okay. We had a good group with us live, so it was fun. Yeah. And we have that audio coming out, and then we're gonna start season 4. What is that? September 6th?
Something like that.
Yeah.
Very cool.
Yeah, September 6th. We'll be starting season 4 with Simulation Theory.
Mm-hmm.
Ooh, that'll be a good one.
So check out hushhushsociety.com.
So I guess that's what we had to say. Thanks for listening to another episode of I Had to Say It. If you liked what you heard, leave a review, give us a follow, give me some feedback. And if you didn't like what you heard, leave a review, give me a follow, give me some feedback. I'll try and fix it. Check us out on all the social media platforms at I Had to Say It Podcast is the trigger for all that stuff, for the search term. And if you want, check out the website, www.ihadtosayitpodcast.com. There's links to people that have been involved with the program, things I've talked about. There are some links available for some merch that we're working on, and there are ways to contact us there as well. And thanks for listening, and I look forward to talking to you again soon.